Well, this is a quick walkthrough of the Chapter 1 test for the review at the end of the year. I'm not going to give you all of the answers, but I'm going to just walk through the test with you. So here we go. On number 1, this is the absolute value of 8. So you're going to write down how far 8 is away from 0 here. And remember, no absolute values can be negative. Over here, this is the absolute value of negative 37. Again, how far is negative 37 away from 0? And once again, no absolute values can be negative. Down here for 3 and 4, remember, now this is just a 4, but this, you have to think, what's the value of the absolute value of negative 8? So you'll put that less than, greater than, or equal to, and you'll have to think about what the value of this is. Down here, over on this side, you'll have to do that to both of them. What's the value of the absolute value of negative 5? What's the value of the absolute value of negative 9? We did these in the review on the last video. Here, we're putting these items in order from least to greatest. So what I did in the review is I just put up here what I would think of for the absolute value of negative 3. I would be thinking 3 for that. I would be thinking something for this. This actually stays the same. I would just be thinking 0, which kind of looks like a donut up there, which makes me hungry. So we're going to put what we're thinking about up here, and then we're putting them in order from least to greatest. The negative 4 does not have the absolute value signs around it, so that literally is just negative 4. So remember, when you're putting them in order from least to greatest, think about what's the coldest temperature out there up to the warmest temperature. For number 6, you deposit $20 in your savings account. 1 week later, you withdraw $45. Now, we don't know how much was in your account. Did you do other things to your account? Maybe a rich uncle put $1 million in there. Maybe a greedy uncle came and stole $1 million. I don't know. We're just supposed to write each of these integers, each of these amounts as integers. This was a deposit, meaning you put it into the bank. That would be a positive. This is a withdrawal, meaning you take it out of the bank. That would be a negative. So you're going to write each of those as integers. One will be a positive number. One will be a negative number. Down here, we're just adding and subtracting integers. Different signs, so subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger. Make sure you remember to make those two negatives into a big plus, and then that should be a pretty easy problem. Here, make those two negatives into a plus, then there'll be different signs. Here, it's already addition, so it's just adding two negatives. So same sign, add the number part, keep the sign. Don't forget to keep the sign. Here, different signs, so we're subtracting the number part and keep the sign of the larger absolute value, which would be the positive here. This is a tricky one. A lot of kids are going to put 4. Don't be fooled. 2 minus 6. Different signs, so you subtract the number parts, but you keep the sign of the larger absolute value. Don't forget. Number 13. Your bank account had a balance of negative $13 and you deposit $30. What's your new balance? Okay, so now this is unlike the previous one. Here, we were at negative $13, which is horrible because you have a negative amount in your bank account. You're going to get fees. They're going to come and yell at you. You're going to get phone calls. Not that I've ever done that. So you hurry down there and you put a deposit of $30 in there. Well, that's enough to take care of what you owe the bank. Plus, you're going to have some left in your account. Your job is to put what your new balance will be. Since you're putting in more than you owed the bank, you will have a positive balance, but it's going to be less than $30 because you had to pay what you owed the bank. Down here on number 14, you're going to substitute negative 5 in for m. When you do that, it's going to look like this: negative 5 minus negative 3. Now you're going to take those two minuses right here, make them into a plus. Different signs will happen then. So you subtract the number parts and you keep the larger sign. The second page, we're just multiplying or dividing integers here. Here, negative 8 squared, that squared is only touching the 8. not the negative. So really, we would have to do 8 times 8 first, because exponents comes first. Well, parentheses, but there are no parentheses. So exponents comes first, and then you put that negative back on. So you will have a negative answer here. Remember, 8 times 8 is not 16. That would be 8 times 2. We want 8 times 8. Over here, this is a division problem. But same sign, so it's going to be a positive answer for this one. And then you put 36 divided by 4, and you put positive. Okay? Over here, this is negative 5 times negative 6. Right next to each other means multiplication. Same sign, so it's going to be a positive answer, 5 times 6. Over here, this is 4 times negative 8. So you do 4 times 8, and then different sign, so your answer is going to be negative for number 18. Number 19. This is just a division problem. That's a division sign there. The dots are kind of small, but it is division. This is negative 48 divided by 6. Different sign, so our answer is going to be different sign, so our answer is going to be negative. And 48 divided by 6. And then you put that right there. Remember, it's negative. Over here, 40 divided by 8. Okay, 40 divided by 8. And then make sure that you look different signs. So it's going to be negative. So 18, 19, and 20, all different signs. Number 21, different signs again. So our answer is going to be negative. 8 times 3, and then make it negative. Here, we've got 3 factors. But remember, an even number of negatives means we're going to have a positive answer. So 2 times negative 5, negative 10. Negative 10 times negative 8 is going to be positive, whatever 10 times 8 is, right over there. The last one is 3 parts. 2 fishermen are fishing from a boat at sea. The picture shows their fishing line under the water surface. So this one is 13 feet under the surface. This is 10 feet under the surface. Write an integer for the position of each fish hook relative to sea level. Well, relative to sea level, these are both negative because they're below sea level. So this would be a negative 10 and this would be a negative 13. Those go right here. For part B, which integer in part A is greater? Well, you wrote negative 13 and negative 10. Which one's greater? Well, which one's a warmer temperature? Negative 10. I mean, it's cold, but it's warmer than negative 13. Or you can think of it's just closer to 0. And when we're on the negative side, whatever's closer to 0 is greater. So negative 10 is greater. Which integer from part A, so we're looking back up to part A again, negative 13, negative 10, has the greater absolute value? Well, negative 13's absolute value is 13. And negative 10 absolute's value is 10. 13 is greater, so you would write negative 13. Negative 13 has a greater absolute value. Don't write 13. That is what its absolute value is. But that's not what it asked. It said which integer has the greater absolute value, so negative 13. Well, I hope walking through this is going to help you with the quiz. Now go take this quiz. See you.